There's good reason to fly the flag this week, with Election Day Tuesday and Veterans Day this Friday. Both speak to the freedoms we enjoy. As we do our duty and vote in this historic election, it's important to honor those who did their duty and served our country. We're calling this show Home of the Brave. We begin with building a wall, only this one is not designed to divide. A wall in Charlotte County is bringing people together. It's a scale replica of the newly dedicated Vietnam War Memorial.
It was a long time ago. It was 50 years ago. And you don't forget, when you were there, you don't forget.
Then in Raising a Flag, you'll hear the little note backstory to the iconic image greeting drivers in Cape Coral. And resilience is the word. In a series of war stories, local soldiers reflect on tragedy and triumph. I'm Amy Osher. Will also take an in-depth look at covering politics. I'm Amy Osher. Thanks for joining us. More than 80,000 people paid a visit when the replica Vietnam Wall made a stop in Punta Gorda. A moving tribute, local vets wanted something permanent. When they couldn't buy and relocate a retiring Vietnam Wall, they decided to raise money and build their own. A small school in a small town, Charlotte High, sent a large number of young men to the war in Vietnam.
In the 10 years between 1960 and 1970, Charlotte High only had 637 male students in the senior classes, and we had 124 of them serve in Vietnam at this count.
That's about 1 in 5 of the school's eligible males.
Over here, 9th Infantry Joe Howard's 9th Infantry dress uniform.
A military expert, Paul DeGata, chronicles soldiers from war and back. Veterans hold a huge influence in Southwest Florida. The number of local vets is bolstered by retirees, many reflective of their service.
And I think when they get to the point in the twilight years of their life, they look back and they understand that that was the most important and intense period of their life.
Now they have a place to come, a connection between the living and the dead, their very own half-scale version of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
One of the members of the Vietnam Veterans of America got word that the traveling wall in Texas was going to be up for sale, and he brought that to our attention, and we briefly considered purchasing that and converting it to a permanent wall, and the mechanics and the nuts and bolts was just too awkward, and we could build this one for about the same amount of money.
Bill Adkins led the grassroots fundraising mission. We
ended up raising probably around $650,000, and that purchased what you see here, and this is pretty much the same as the one in D.C., except for the white litho in the lettering makes it easier to read. The granite is from the same quarry.
The Vietnam Memorial is known as the Healing Wall. The years of work this one took was in itself healing.
The whole effort really kind of redirected your thoughts, and rather than morose thinking, it was proud thinking.
The official dedication comes just in time for Veterans Day, but once the wall was completed, people started coming.
I have friends on this wall that I'm probably still alive because they're not.
The emotional response is too much for some, who silently pay their respect.
I am very proud of him and what his accomplishments were, and for him to come out here today meant the world to me.
And unless you've been there, you might say, I understand, but you don't. And it's very emotional that, our hearts are here. And it kind of helps make it a little easier to get by.
A moving dedication here to stay, built by the same people who served and sacrificed.
This is a good representative of small town America, of high schools throughout the country that gave so many kids to that war.
If you'd like to visit the Southwest Florida Vietnam Wall Memorial, it's just up the road in Punta Gorda at Lashley Park, which sits at the base of the Peace River. The address is 100 Nesbitt Street. Another war memorial greets drivers crossing the Midpoint Bridge into Cape Coral. The iconic image of Marines raising the flag at Iwo Jima. This particular monument has a unique place in history. The 20-foot statue depicting 5 Marines and a Navy corpsman hoisting the American flag is one of 3 originals made from the same mold by famed sculptor Felix de Weldon. De Weldon created the iconic work after seeing a photo of the men in 1945. The smaller scale sculpture eventually won him the commission to create a larger 60-foot statue that now resides at the entrance to the Arlington National Cemetery. While de Weldon made 2 20-foot statues as preparation for the Arlington installation, the Cape Coral casting came later, made from the original mold in 1964. It was commissioned by the city's original developers who wanted to welcome veterans to their new community. The local Iwo Jima statue underwent a major restoration and was relocated to this spot a few years back. All summer long, the Daily News paid tribute to veterans of World War II and the Korean War by profiling local soldiers in our Home of the Brave series. These war reflections hit close to home for reporter Tim Patterson, who spent 8 years on active duty before turning to journalism. Tim, what was the impetus behind starting this Home of the Brave series?
Well, it started on July 4th. A local Marine World War II veteran, Tim Timmerud, he passed away July 4th, and the paper asked me to do a story about him. And while working on that, I met a lot of the members of the Naples Marine Corps League. I started going to their lunches, and through them I was contacted by other local groups, and that's how I met a lot of these local people.
Yeah, it's not hard to find a retired vet in Southwest Florida, so I'm sure you had a lot to choose from. What kind of takeaway in general did you get from meeting so many people and hearing their stories?
The big thing is that a lot of these, especially the older World War II veterans, they're very humble. When you ask them about their stories, their first reaction is, "Oh, I don't have a story. I didn't do anything important." And then when you get them talking, a lot of them say they were very, very lucky to have survived when, they would be in a foxhole and their buddy would get hit by a bullet and they would be okay. And it seemed random. It seemed like luck, and they're very appreciative that they're still here and they can talk about these things.
And part of the history that they witnessed being in the military is really remarkable. People from Iwo Jima and a lot of different theaters that we were involved with in World War II.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stories that we're writing about, they were pilots, they were people, gunners on aircraft bombers over Japan and Germany. We have Marines who fought on many of the Pacific Islands, Tarawa and Iwo Jima and Okinawa, people who were wounded or taken prisoner or who went through the whole war and had a really, I don't want to say a normal experience, but they didn't come away traumatized. But all of those stories are still, they're really interesting and important stories.
Why do you think that they agreed to sit down, though? Because they are rather humble. What made them want to sit down and share their stories with you, both in print and video?
When I go into the stories, I don't tell them right away, but I was in the Navy for 8 years before, and I think it comes out in the conversation a lot of the time. And when they learn that, it makes it a little bit easier for them to talk about it. I think we share a little bit of the same language coming from the military. And these older guys especially, they want to tell their stories. They really want to talk about it. They want the younger generation, high school age kids, to know the history and know those events, and they just want to share it.
So much of what seemed to drive that generation is the sense of duty and purpose and giving back. Did you sense that, and have they taken that throughout their lives?
They have. A really common theme was with these World War II veterans, they would turn 18 years old, they would graduate from high school, and the very first thing they wanted to do was enlist in the military. And it's remarkable because nobody talks about that today. And a lot of these guys, they would go to the federal building in their city in Detroit or Cincinnati, and that's where they would enlist in the military. And half of them, they didn't even know what branch they were going to join. They just went there and they signed up in the first office they came to.
Staff Sergeant Harold Levitt's story unfolds high over Tokyo, beginning with an explosion in his B-29 bomber. He successfully bailed out, only to battle for survival as a POW.
I got out of the plane just in time because it exploded and killed 6 of my buddies. The rest of us got out, 5 of us, and we all wound up in the same cell. It wasn't a cell, it was the stables of the emperor's horses. And we were kept in those cells, in those stables. No water facilities, no toilet facilities. I washed my hands and face and my flying suit once in 4 months. That was the only water I ever used to clean myself. It's very hard to believe. What we had as a meal was a rice ball the size of a little smaller than a tennis ball and a cup of water. We drank out of the same bucket that they washed their uniforms in. 1 cup for 96 men. We didn't care if we got killed. We were so miserable.
It sounds like it's still pretty vivid. Hmm?
You don't forget, it's in your soul. It hurts. Why did I live and the other guys didn't? Why? Gets no answer. I have to live a life for them. It's hard.
When we come back, more stories from the front lines as we pay tribute in Home of the Brave.
My name is Steve Unser, and cabinetry is my specialty. I have been creating custom designed cabinetry for 20 years in Southwest Florida, and now I am celebrating the grand opening of our new Naples showroom. Steve Unser Cabinetry will help you design your kitchen, bath, or home office with stunning results, offering the best quality of cabinets with a wide variety of design options and pricing to fit any budget. If your kitchen isn't becoming to you, you should be coming to us. Now, 2 locations to serve you.
Hiring the right moving company is important. Best Moving and Storage is a family-owned and operated business serving Southwest Florida for over 22 years. From our free in-home estimate until the last piece of furniture is in your new place or stored in our climate-controlled warehouse, we treat you like family. Best Moving and Storage is fully licensed and insured, with all of our employees being certified drivers and packers. When it comes to protecting your treasured belongings, choose a company that's experienced and trustworthy. Call Best Moving and Storage today at 239-592-6565.
Let AAA Travel help you plan a memorable getaway with unique vacations featuring authentic experiences worldwide. Expert AAA travel consultants can show you the hidden gems. Plus, AAA members enjoy valuable savings and exclusive benefits on cruises, land vacations, hotels, rental cars, and more. Whether you want to tour Europe, cruise Alaska, or just relax in the Caribbean, AAA Travel can help you get there. Expect something more with your next vacation. Get started today. Visit AAA.com/Naples or call 594-5006.
Frank Pagano was a staff sergeant flying bomb missions over Germany in World War II. His plane was hit on several occasions, but always spared catastrophe. 43 missions in a B-17 gave him a higher perspective.
From the tail, I always be able to look back and see what was going on. And you can see the bombs go down, and you wait long enough and they would hit and see what was going on down below. So you got a little more of a perspective of what flying a mission was all about. And the name of the game was there was a target, and we had to go to that target, drop the bombs, and get out of there as quickly as possible. It was, I think, experience that as you get older, you kind of put it back in your mind. But it's there. I think the key thing is that you're a survivor. And I think that's the thing that stays in my mind the most when I think about it. And I think the fact that I'm where I'm at in my life, and I'm fortunate. I draw upon the fact when I relate to things that are going on, hey, I've lived my life. I've lived an extra 70-some years. And as I age, the thought of dying doesn't bother me. I feel that if it happens, it happens. And my motto is really expect the unexpected.
Marine Corporal Hank Markovich bears his scars with pride. suffering massive injuries in the Battle of Okinawa. He was not expected to survive.
There were, like I said, about a dozen fellas surrounded that opening of that cave, armed to the teeth, calling for them to come out. We figured there were still some Japanese. This was right in Naha, in the city. And nobody came out. And so one of the fellas threw a hand grenade into the cave. I don't know why he did. Why, if he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have killed all those fellas. But he threw that hand grenade in, and all of a sudden there was an explosion like you wouldn't believe. They were storing ammunition in that cave. There were only two of us, myself and one other fellow, that were not killed. I don't know how long he was in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 years and 3 months. I didn't take it like the average person did. I felt fortunate. I felt fortunate that I was not killed.
Still to come, a snapshot in time. Soldiers recreating an old pose. One of our top stories of the year. We'll take you back in Behind the Headlines.
I'm Jeffrey Heitman, NCH. This is my hospital.
I'm Shona Vella McCunney, and this is my hospital.
I'm Thomas Parent, and this is my hospital.
My name is Kenneth Bookman, NCH. This is my hospital.
NCH, this is my hospital.
Still think real estate's a gamble? Not at Vineyards. When you look at the homes, amenities, the community itself, and the fact that Vineyards is debt-free, you can't lose. And here's our ace up the sleeve. A full golf lifetime membership, free with every new home purchase. We've stacked the deck in your favor at Vineyards. Come see our 15 new models open daily.
Hi, I'm Adam Fisher with the Naples Daily News, and I don't just write about high school football, I live it.
What's up, Mr. Fisher? Don't worry about it.
Catch up on the latest in high school football with Andy Sodergren and me, Adam Fisher, each week at naplesnews.com/prepzone. We make high school football real.
It's a busy week in news all around, so we'll check in with our reporters on the beat.
Thanks, Amy. I'm Greg Stanley at the Naples Daily News, and this week we're going to start digging into the election. We have 2 seats on the Collier County Commission up for grabs, and on top of all the normal zoning, high-rise issues that they're going to be dealing with over the next 4 years, what Collier County Commissioners also have been dealing with is Clerk Dwight Brock's office. The clerk and commissioners have been in and out of court for the last 14 years, really since 2002, over various issues. The latest one over the way the county purchases items under $50,000 just wrapped up in court. The clerk lost. He had appealed. He said he won't appeal it any further after the decision came down last Friday. So with that lawsuit about the purchasing ordinance kind of put to rest, and with 3 new commissioners now on the board, we're going to check in to see if this animosity between the clerk's office and the commissioners will change.
Hi, my name is Brett Murphy. I'm the courts reporter with the Naples Daily News. Last week we covered the sentencing of Terry Brady. He got a continuance to this Monday. He was convicted of killing and setting on fire a transgender woman in Fort Myers a couple years back. He's expected to get a life sentence on Monday. And also on the ballot on Tuesday will be a judicial retention vote. So voters will have the chance to let 13 judges keep their job, 10 on the 2nd District Court of Appeals and 3 state Supreme Court judges.
Hi, I'm Annika Hammerschlag, and I'm the education reporter here at the Naples Daily News. I also do investigations, and for the last few months, I've been working on a story about felon voting rights in Florida. More than 1.5 million people in Florida can't vote due to a felony conviction. That makes up 10% of the state's population. Because Governor Scott rewrote the clemency laws when he took office in 2011, Florida is the most difficult place in the country and the world for felons to regain their voting rights. My story looks at why exactly this is and how big of an effect this will have on Tuesday's election. Check it out in today's paper and online.
I'm Shelby Reynolds. I'm a features reporter here at the Naples Daily News, and I'm working on a story about the Naples Chocolate Stroll, which takes visitors on a taste testing tour of Fifth Avenue. We tried mocha coffee, chocolate chip cookies, and chocolate mint tea, even balsamic vinegar. You can find that story in print on Thursday and online at naplesnews.com.
Covering politics is an epic undertaking this year, with a presidential race like nothing we've ever seen. Florida stands to play a key role, and we've been there every step of the way. Here's a look from our Daily News political team.
In other elections, we've covered local campaign stops by presidential candidates here in Naples, who often are here because there's a lot of donors here in this town. There's a lot of money in Naples, and a lot of candidates often stump at private dinner parties and whatnot, trying to raise funds for their candidacy. What was different about this election for us is that we traveled outside of the Naples area representing the USA Today network, and we began to see more of how the rest of the state is covered by each candidate, about how the candidates play towards everyday people versus some of the money that they go after here in the Naples area.
It is my honor to present to you the next President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. What a crowd, beautiful.
It has been a grueling 2.5 months of coverage of the presidential race, but always fun here in Florida. Both candidates have spent an extraordinary amount of time here. One of the first things that Clinton did is she actually announced her running mate, Governor Tim Kaine, with her at a rally in Miami at, towards the end of July.
Hey guys, thank you. Hello, Miami.
In retrospect, this seems like it was a strategic move on her behalf. Tim Kaine speaks Spanish. This was at the Florida International University. There were a lot of Hispanics at that rally. And today, Clinton is carrying the Hispanic vote very well. The candidates had this these very different campaign styles that evolved over the course of their elections. On September 1st, all of Florida was basically reporting on the story that Hillary Clinton has 50 field offices, Donald Trump has 1. Field offices in Florida are important because they signify some kind of ground game. Races are always very tight. Barack Obama carried 2012 with less than 80,000 votes in the state, so who you turn out to vote really does matter. Donald Trump's ground game never really developed over the course of the election. The RNC said that they were implementing a ground game on his behalf, that they had been doing this for years after Governor Mitt Romney's defeat in 2012, but we never really saw a lot of evidence of that materialize.
At the Naples Daily News, we often covered the campaign stops in Miami and in Tampa, a couple of the stops in Orlando, but we also relied on our sister papers in Fort Myers and Pensacola and Tallahassee and the Treasure Coast and Florida Today papers to also help us cover the entire state. And it gave us a very broad but localized view of what each candidate was doing in the state.
Many years in the making, the reunion of a group of soldiers earlier this year became an affirmation of life.
We found each other after 46 years. We decided we're not getting any younger. Let's take another picture. This was all happenings. No, I'm not doing this for my own acknowledgement. I'm doing it for these guys, actually. And that's the main reason we're doing it.
He is, he's nothing. He's nothing. I say we beat him up.
Two of us survived. The other two guys didn't get hurt somehow. And we all got hurt, but I mean, not physically, they didn't get hurt. And somehow we all survived, and we're all, 3 of us are in Florida, one's in Atlanta, Georgia. We decided to get together and do it again. That's it. That's the whole thing.
This guy. Hey,
unless you fought in the war, and your life depended on these other guys, there's a bond there that it's real, it's physical. You can't explain it. It's hard to explain.
On that note, we'll sign off on this edition of Behind the Headlines. Thank you for joining us. You can always connect with me through my Facebook page. It's Amy Osher Reporter. Don't forget, all of our episodes, including this one, are available online. Just log on to naplesnews.com. On the left-hand side under Quick Links, select Behind the Headlines. I'm Amy Osher. We'll see you back here next week.